Hi, everyone, I'm Dan Abrams, and this is Court Cam.
You ready to take your plea? Your legacy is pathetic, cowardly, lying, rapist, and murderer.
First up, we're in Dover, New Hampshire, with the sentencing of Seth Mazzaglia. The 31-year-old was found guilty of rape and murder of 19-year-old college student Lizzie Marriott. 2 years earlier, Mazzaglia enlisted the help of his then-girlfriend, Kat McDonough, to lure her co-worker, Lizzie, into joining the couple for a night of sexual role-playing. But when Lizzie refused his sexual advances, things turned violent inside the couple's apartment, as McDonough testified to at trial.
Seth was sitting on the futon behind us, and that's when he did it. He moved him up behind her, and he pulled the rope over her neck and strangled her.
In front of McDonough, Mazzaglia used a rope to strangle Lizzie to death and then raped her lifeless body.
She let out a quick noise, and she sort of stopped moving.
The couple then dumped her remains in the Piscataqua River. Friends of Lizzie's told authorities she'd made plans to visit Seth and Kat the night she went missing. McDonough's testimony came as part of a plea agreement with the prosecution. In exchange for getting her most serious charges dropped, she pled guilty to conspiracy, witness tampering, and hindering prosecution. She was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Now at Mazzaglia's sentencing hearing, 13 family members and friends have prepared victim impact statements to share with the court. And while each person memorialized the life of Lizzie Marriott,
her story will be told. Her eternal life will live on.
many did not hold back on her killing.
Mr. Mazzaglia, you will, as animals do, spend the rest of your life in a cage.
As with independent, not even hell would take such a diseased soul.
I hope that you reach the point that you have a renewed thoughts of suicide and are successful in the fulfillment of that action. Cowards take the easier way out. Do us a favor and tie that knot real tight. Rot in hell, you degenerate.
And finally, almost 2 years after losing their daughter, Lizzie's parents faced down her killer.
Mr. Mazzaglia, I'm Melissa Marriott. I'm Lizzie's mother, and I want you to know unequivocally that I hate you. You're a cowardly and despicable person. You murdered Lizzie, raped her lifeless body, and then threw her away because Lizzie had the self-confidence and self-esteem to say no to you.
You were pathetic. You were guilty of purposely killing my daughter, a murderer. You were guilty of killing while raping my daughter, a rapist. It is said the devil will appear as a friend, and Lizzie did not see you for what you are.
Seth Mazzaglia was then sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the rape and murder of Elizabeth Lizzie Marriott.
All right, Yanel Morales.
Next, we're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for a bond hearing. 32-year-old Yaneli Marie Morales was charged with burglary with assault or battery for breaking into the home of a woman who was allegedly having an affair with her boyfriend. The crime is punishable by up to life in prison. So the public defender, who's off camera, asks to have his office's appellate attorney present when it comes time to rule on the defendant's bond.
I contacted our appellate attorney that wants to be present and make arguments. They're only available this afternoon. I'm just respectfully asking if the court could give us that courtesy for him to be present at 1:30 and make those arguments.
Judge Michael Davis is not opposed to the request. Problem is, he wants to move things along.
All right, the public defender's office wants to make legal argument. They've got to be prepared to make legal argument. Docket starts at 8:30. It's now 9:45. All right, Ms. Morales.
Judge, can I just have one moment, please?
Sure.
After consulting with his colleagues, the public defender lets the judge know the other attorney is actually on her way.
How long?
A few minutes. She's on her way.
All right, we'll pass it.
Have a seat, ma'am.
But after waiting about 20 minutes with no sign of the attorney, things start getting awkward.
The public defender's office is about a 2-minute walk away. Your colleague is not here. It's 20 minutes later. I'm going to call Miss Morales' case back. Yaneli Morales. All right. Good morning, Miss Morales. You're charged with a burglary with assault or battery. I'm going to find probable cause for that offense, ma'am.
The state is asking that Morales be held without bond. But before continuing, the public defender again asks to have the office's appellate attorney present.
Your appellate attorney asked to be here 20 minutes ago, and she is not here.
Judge, but now...
It shows a blatant disrespect to this court.
Judge...
Think, Mr. Armstrong?
No.
It's about a 2-minute walk from the public defender's office. Where is your colleague?
Judge, may I have just 1 minute?
Nope.
I would like to have a supervisor present.
By now, it seems the focus has shifted from the case at hand to a debate between judge and public defender.
Your office is here. You are here. I've given your office the courtesy to come down here. Your colleague has apparently hung you out to dry. I'm not really sure why, but you're now making conflicting arguments.
I'm not saying the court...
I'm asking you to explain this inconsistency.
Judge, what I'm saying to the court
I need
is
you to answer that question.
But when the public defender still can't answer his question, Judge Davis loses his temper.
What I'm saying to the...
All right, we're all done then. All right. State anything else? Ma'am, you're going to be held without bond at this time. Good luck. All right.
But 3 days later, at her next hearing, Yaneli Marie Morales was released on a $10,000 bond and is currently awaiting trial.
You will know the truth, whether in this trial or the next one.
Next, we go to Tampa, Florida, for a story that made headlines, the trial of Ronnie O'Neal.
I want you to know the actual facts.
He's charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, attempted murder, and a number of other felonies. 3 years earlier, O'Neal allegedly attacked his girlfriend, Kenyatta Barron, in front of their 2 children, Ronivia, age 9, and Ronnie, age 8. Kenyatta was able to call 911 during the attack.
911, what's your emergency?
I'm shot. Help me, please. Jesus, I'm shot.
What's the address of the emergency, ma'am?
O'Neal allegedly shot and beat Barron with a shotgun, killing her. He then took a hatchet and killed his own daughter, Ronivia. Finally, O'Neal stabbed his son, Ronnie, and left him in the house, which he then set on fire. But the young boy was able to escape. And when paramedics arrived, the first thing he said was, "My daddy killed my mommy." O'Neal was charged with 2 counts of murder and pleaded not guilty. If convicted, he could be looking at the death penalty. So it was stunning to see at the trial, O'Neal choosing to represent himself.
I'm pleading not guilty to the charges of premeditated murder. And it might sound far-fetched, but I guarantee you, we're going to see who the liars are before it's all said and done. Mark my words.
Judge Michelle Cisco allows it, but insists a public defender be on standby in case things get out of control. O'Neal alleges it was his girlfriend who attacked the children, and he was only trying to protect them.
Any father would have done the same damn thing and moved in the same similar way that I did out of pure instinct and passion.
O'Neal also goes after the state's key witness, his own son.
Evidence is going to show that we are under some of the most vicious, iron, fabricating, fictitious government you ever seen. The evidence is going to show my son did not see me murder his mom. The evidence is going to show he did not see me shoot his mom. The evidence is going to show my son said many things that are not true.
The jury would get a chance to decide for themselves when the state calls the now 11-year-old Ronnie O'Neal to testify, which he does via video link from a different location.
Did he do something to your sister?
Yes, he hit her with an axe in the head, and then in the back, and the back, and then the head. and then like I saw her eyes roll, and then there was blood everywhere.
The younger Ronnie also recalls what happened to his mother.
I just saw my dad holding a shotgun, and my mom screaming at him, and I just saw her like she was like stumbling outside, and then I just saw my dad chase her.
He then describes how his own nightmare ended that night.
I was laying on my stomach, he had his foot on top of me, and he was holding me down, and he was like lighting a match.
In the trial's most surreal moment, O'Neill, representing himself, cross-examines his son.
How you doing?
Good.
It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
We're in Tampa, Florida for the trial of Ronnie O'Neill III. He's charged with 2 counts of murder and the attempted murder of his own then 8-year-old son. O'Neill's representing himself at the trial and is questioning his son, who testifies remotely.
Did I hurt you that night of this incident?
Yes.
I did. And how did I hurt you?
You stabbed me.
After a week of testimony, both sides made their closing arguments and put the case in the hands of the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen, the state has gone way beyond a reasonable doubt here. You can have no doubt in your mind that this defendant, Ronnie O'Neill III, is guilty of all these crimes.
You will know the truth, whether in this trial or the next.
The jury deliberated for nearly 5 hours before returning with a unanimous verdict.
The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder as charged. The defendant did actually possess and discharge a firearm causing death.
At sentencing, Judge Sisko had a few parting words for O'Neill before handing down the sentence.
This is the worst case I've ever seen as far as the facts go. Because there is no way any person with any feeling could have witnessed or seen the photos of what occurred that night and not be haunted for the rest of your life. I know I will be.
The judge sentenced O'Neill to 3 life sentences plus 90 years in a state prison, where he'll have no chance for parole. As for the younger Ronnie, his story doesn't end there. Despite living through a horrific nightmare, he was later adopted by one of the detectives who worked his case and his wife. Next, we head to Coon Rapids, Minnesota, for the sentencing of Jody Bouchard-Riche. She's pled guilty to felony third-degree assault in the attack on Asma Mohammed Jama. A year earlier, Asma, who is a Somali-American immigrant and a U.S. citizen, was eating dinner with family at a local restaurant. Bouchard-Riche heard the group speaking their native Swahili. Some words were exchanged, and then she attacked Jama, hitting her across the face with a beer mug. Jama required 17 stitches to close her wounds. Bouchard-Riche was facing 5 years in prison if convicted, but she pled guilty. Today, the 44-year-old's in court to learn her sentence. But before she does, Asma has something she'd like to say to the court.
What happened to me on that day is unacceptable. It shouldn't happen to anybody else. I used to be a carefree person, and now I can't go anywhere by myself. It really impacted and changed my life for the good and for the bad too. I just wanted...
She struggles to keep her emotions in check.
I just wanted to say that it's... that I am happy it's over. It's been a long year. I am really stronger than this. I don't know what's going on with me today. I think I'm just happy that it's over, and I just wanted the court to know that I'm a strong person. I'll keep fighting, but what happened to me should never happen in the state of Minnesota, and it shouldn't happen to anybody just because you're different.
Next, she has a specific request for the judge.
If I could ask you if I can talk to the defendant, would that be okay?
Sure.
Jody, what you did to me that day wasn't good. You should never do anything like that to anybody. But I just wanted to tell you in front of everybody today that I do forgive you. My religion teaches me to forgive so I can move on with my life. If I hold a grudge and I hold the hate you hold towards me against you, it's not going to serve me well. So in front of everybody here, I do forgive you, and I hope that you choose love over hate. I really do. I don't have any ill feelings towards you. I just want you to, at the end of all this, to understand that we're all the same. It doesn't matter what's on my head. It doesn't matter the color of my skin. We're all the same human beings. Thank you all.
Bouchard Riche declines to speak, but her attorney offers a few words about his client.
I don't see her as a lunatic. I don't see her as a racist. I see her as someone, not unlike many others that come before the court, that has an alcohol problem that brought her here.
The judge ultimately sentences Bouchard Riche to 6 months in jail, plus 5 months probation. A year later, the defendant's sister, Dawn Sayer, who was sitting in the courtroom the day of the sentencing, reached out to Asma. She just wanted to apologize and make sure Asma was doing okay. Joining us now are Asma Jama and Dawn Sayer. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Asma, first take us back, if you can, to the moment that this happened.
We were speaking in Swahili, but then Jody was so mad that we were speaking another language. I just wanted it to end, so I turned around and I was like, man, we have kids. Could you please just cut it down? And that's when she hit me with the beer mug.
Dawn, now let me ask you, what do you recall feeling as Asma was speaking to the court?
For Asma to have that kind of forgiveness in her heart was just, it was moving. It really was. I mean, it took a lot of understanding to be able to stand up there and tell Jody that she forgave her. And I had a lot of respect for her, that's for sure.
If I hold a grudge and I hold the hate you hold towards me against you, it's not going to serve me well. So in front of everybody here, I do forgive you.
Tell me about your decision to reach out to Asma.
In my heart, I just felt I needed to know that she was okay. I felt so bad about what happened to her at the hands of somebody that, grew up in the same house as me, that I just really felt it necessary to find out how she was doing.
And the two of you are now friends, right?
Yes.
Sisters.
Sisters, actually.
Two good people doing really good things. Thank you both for taking the time to come on and tell us your story. Really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Dad. We appreciate it. I mean, we know this is going to be a lifetime sisterhood, so thanks to Jody for whatever reason she took. She gave me someone now my sister, and vice versa. So we're good.
That's it for this edition of Court Cam. I'm Dan Abrams. Thanks for watching. Hi everyone, I'm Dan Abrams, and this is Court Cam.
I hope you die in prison as well.
Sherman asked you to sit still.
We kick things off at a divorce hearing in Las Vegas, Nevada. On one side is Maria Wells. On the other, her ex-husband, Jeffrey Wells. Presiding is Judge Cheryl Moss.
I had already stated before in a prior court hearing that the father had lied to the court.
Maria is seeking a protection order to prevent Jeffrey from contacting either her or their two children. Wells pled guilty to child endangerment after his 12-year-old son, Cyber, killed himself using a shotgun that was left unsupervised in the home. The shooting was reported as a suicide.
He's always loved his children, and it's unfortunate that this accident...
It wasn't an accident.
This incident had happened.
At an earlier hearing, he was ordered by Judge Moss to keep all firearms away from the children.
the time of the hearing, the very first hearing, I wanted to put every precaution in place. I know you own firearms, but when you have children around, and they were under your roof, you were supposed to have them locked up.
Ma'am, you show me a rule
Sir,
that shows
I'm
the
not gonna
Constitution of the United States that I have to.
Please, because
Please.
the court ordered it.
I'm getting screwed here and I'm supposed to sit here and take it?
A court officer steps over to keep things civil.
Sir, I'm going to ask you not to make any comments in the middle of my decision.
Listen to her.
Stay from these laws, please.
You're not going to disrupt my decision.
Let's look at this a little more closely. The judge is trying to issue her decision, but Wells speaks out.
I'm getting screwed here and I'm supposed to sit here and take it?
But if you listen, the court officer tells Wells to stand up.
Listen to her.
Stay from these laws, please.
Perhaps that's what set him off. That's Maria Wells' attorney stepping into the fray. Looks like he's ready to go the distance to protect his client. On the other side, Jeffrey Wells gets some vocal support from a concerned family member. Several more court officers arrive, bringing the total to at least 10. Finally, the officers bring Wells to the ground and try to slap on the cuffs.
Give me the wrist. I can't breathe. Stop resisting. You gotta relax.
None of the officers are seriously injured as they get the potentially dangerous situation under control. When court resumes, Judge Mills issues the protective order. As for Wells, he's charged and convicted with 4 counts of battery as a result of his outburst and served 6 months in jail. We take you to the 5th floor of the Oklahoma County Courthouse in Oklahoma City. And this is defendant Christopher Willis. He's in court today, charged with possession of a firearm while on probation, a crime that could potentially land him in prison for 10 years. Unfortunately for Willis, he just found out the judge has denied his bond, so he'll be heading off to jail. But maybe not right away. Once out of the courtroom, Willis is off and running through the halls of the courthouse, with Deputy Tom Lee and bondsman Ken Boyer chasing him down. And seconds later, he's back. The pursuit continues. Willis hasn't got time to wait for the elevator. Deputy Lee is still on his tail. And Boyer hasn't given up either. But there goes Willis again. No one can seem to stop him, including this group standing by the elevator. While that group by the elevator talks about the wild scene they just saw, they see it again. But this time, Willis is finally out of moves. His deputy Lee tackles him, brings him down. Boyer and attorney Holt Turberg help cuff Willis and turn him over to police, who arrive moments later. For his attempted escape and firearms violations, Willis is sentenced to 17 years in prison. He's currently serving time in the Dick Connor Correctional Center in Hominy, Oklahoma.
That's fine. You next.
Jimmy Carson.
Our next stop is the Cleveland Municipal Courtroom of Judge Marilyn Cassidy in Cleveland, Ohio. Defendant June Carson, who's in court today because of a trespassing misdemeanor, has just been called to appear before the judge. He walks up alone, carrying a backpack.
Are you represented, sir, by an attorney, Mr. Raynon? No? You have the right to an attorney. This carries a possible jail sentence of up to 30 days. September 20th at 9. Continue to defendant's request for pretrial. Time to take.
Judge Cassidy has just delayed the hearing so Carson can get himself an attorney. But he has other ideas.
Continue date. See you on the 23rd. That's fine. Your next event.
If we take a closer look at the incident, after Judge Cassidy gives Carson a new date and time to get an attorney,
September 20th at 9. Time to take.
He responds by hurling his backpack at her. The judge quickly ducks and hits the panic button under her desk to alert security in the courthouse. Meanwhile, Carson punches public defender David Eidenmiller, who just happens to be standing there in the back of the head. He's then tackled by the large man in the white shirt. His court officers come streaming in to help. And that big mystery man who came flying out of his seat and over the defense table to take down Carson? Well, that's Cleveland Police Union President Steve Loomis, who just happened to be in the courtroom that day. As for Carson, he's eventually subdued, cuffed, and led out of the courtroom. He's charged with contempt of court and sentenced to 30 days in jail. Let's head to Jefferson Circuit Court in Louisville, Kentucky.
This is the matter of Adam Satterley.
This is 36-year-old Adam Satterley. Satterley's in court today on a bond hearing related to drug charges. He's appearing before Circuit Judge Olu Stevens, heard off camera.
Your objection's notice overruled. Motion's granted.
Satterley's attorney warns his client to stay calm after hearing the bad news.
Taken into custody.
Judge Stevens has revoked Satterley's bond, meaning Satterley will return to custody.
Thanks.
That yell you just heard was Satterley.
Thanks.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now the new year starts. That's all the cases that I have.
The judge seems to be moving on with the day, but then...
Miss Alvey, before you go, Sheriff, right? Can you indulge me one second?
Yes, sir, of course.
Can you knock on the door and tell the sheriff to bring Mr. Is that guy? Satterley? Bring it back. You just tell the sheriff to bring it back. Oh, Brad. You still have Satterley?
I do.
You bring it back. I apologize. Just give me 1 minute. It won't even take that.
The judge has some unfinished business with Satterley.
Is there something that you wish to say to me?
No, it's my brother.
Oh, was that to your brother? Because
Yes,
I heard you say a racial epithet.
No, I didn't mean it like that.
Oh, you didn't mean it like
No.
that? Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to hold you in contempt of court for having said that. And you don't speak those words in here.
Yes,
and
sir.
that word particularly, you don't use that word. I'm going to give you 60 days for having used that word. Hold you in contempt right now for having done it in this courtroom. It's disrespectful. Don't ever do it again. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Satterley's hit with an additional 60 days for contempt of court. Following the incident, Judge Stevens offered Satterley an opportunity. If Satterley apologizes for using a racial slur, he would reduce the additional sentence to just a day. Satterley took the judge up on his offer.
Yes, sir. I apologize. It wasn't intended for you. I was mad at my brother, is all it was.
Well, you can have a seat. I'll say this, that what you said was a racial epithet. That I don't know how it could be directed at your brother, but at any rate, I accept your apology.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Your Honor.
The little boy that sat in his car seat and suffered for hours upon hours. There's nobody here to speak for Kenton today. I speak for the victim. I speak for the life that was lost.
We now head to Miami-Dade County Bond Court in Miami, Florida, for the bond hearing of Mitchell Simpson.
Mitchell Simpson.
All right, Mr. Simpson.
You're charged with 1 count of first-degree murder, 1 count of armed robbery with a firearm, and 1 count of attempted armed robbery with a firearm. 2 counts, I'm sorry. So you have a total of 4 counts.
In 2008, he allegedly shot and killed 15-year-old Emmanuel Lacayo after attempting to steal his gold necklace. The court-appointed defender claims prosecutors don't have enough evidence to charge him.
I just want to make it clear for the record, because I think it's misstating what's on the arrest form. The witnesses in this case that are claimed witnesses on the second page of the arrest form are witnesses to supposedly hearing my client bragging about committing the robbery and the murder. There's nothing in here about any witnesses that actually place my client at the scene of the murder or the robbery.
But Judge Maria Espinosa Dennis believes the case should move forward.
Regardless of who the source of the information is, it specifically says that the defendant and an unidentified co-defendant approached the victim. I don't think that at an initial preliminary hearing, the defense has to be provided with every single witness and every single item of information regarding the case. This arrest affidavit is all 3 pages, specifically in this court's humble opinion, does provide probable cause for all charges that are set forth in this affidavit.
Mitchell will have to stand trial for the murder and faces a potential life sentence if convicted.
Okay, so have a seat.
And he's not pleased.
Who was that?
Your client.
Just cold-cocked Alberto.
Simpson just pummeled the man who was standing behind him on line just moments ago.
Wow, this poor guy. Yeah, he's dizzy.
He did.
You okay? Is this guy okay? He got slammed for no reason. He was just the next one in line.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
Mitchell will eventually stand trial and was found guilty of first-degree murder and armed robbery. He's currently serving a life sentence in the Florida Department of Corrections. Next, we head to Jefferson County Courthouse in Kentucky for a case that shows just how emotionally difficult it can be for a prosecutor working on a horrific crime.
Okay, good morning. We're on the record. This is the matter of the Commonwealth versus Molly Shouse.
79, Molly Shouse.
This is the arraignment of Molly Shouse.
Ms. Shouse, you have a charge of murder, second-degree possession of a controlled substance, and possession of marijuana.
Shouse has been charged with murder after allegedly leaving her 2-year-old son to die in a hot car while she was passed out inside her home, high on Xanax and marijuana. The tragic year-long case is wrought with emotion. At times, Shouse broke down in tears during the trial, causing delays in the proceedings.
There's no doubt in my mind that your emotions are genuine. Nonetheless, it is necessary for us to get through this trial without interruption.
Eventually, the trial was completed, and it took just 2 hours for the jury to find Shouse guilty of murder. But before Judge Olu Stevens delivered final sentencing, the emotional burden of the victim impact statement fell on the shoulders of prosecutor Erin McKenzie.
Kenton Brown cannot give you a victim impact statement. And there is nobody here in this courtroom from his family to give you a victim impact statement. The little boy that sat in his car seat and suffered for hours upon hours while his skin seared against the hot plastic of the buckle between his legs, with his little wet diaper stuck to him in the heat. There's nobody here to speak for Kenton today. So I don't just speak on behalf of this community, Your Honor. I speak for the victim. I speak for the life that was lost.
Now, Judge Stevens will have to determine her sentence.
Ms. Shouse, you chose the drugs over the life of your child. And so the court will sentence you today.
Judge Stevens agrees with the jury's recommended sentence of 35 years in prison.
In accordance with the jury verdict, murder will be 28 years. Possession of controlled substance first, 3 years. Criminal abuse, 2 years. Wanton endangerment first, 2 years. Each will run consecutive to the other. The total sentence is 35 years.
But the story didn't end there. In a stunning turn of events, Shows' conviction and sentence were thrown out by the Kentucky Supreme Court. The High Court found the prosecutors were not allowed under state law to prosecute Shows on a particular type of murder. In 2000, state lawmakers created a new type of second-degree manslaughter to apply when young children die after being left in vehicles. As a result, Shows pled guilty to that lesser charge. Instead of serving the maximum 35-year sentence she was initially given, Shows was released after serving just 3.
I'm politely glad that you're suffering. I'm just thankful the guy had made a way for us to find out who you are and who you is.
Next, we head to the Cuyahoga County Courthouse in the sentencing of James Sparks Henderson. The defendant admitted killing 5 people and wounding a 10-year-old, all because of an argument on the night of November 21st, 2014. Among the victims was Sharita Johnson, who was 7 months pregnant. Her baby was delivered successfully, but died later at the hospital. When the day of sentencing arrived, victims' family members expressed their pain, sadness, and anger directly at the man who shattered their lives.
You over there smirking and smiling like it's a joke that you killed my daughter and that you killed both of my kids. It's not a joke that you had killed 5 people.
Their tearful words appeared to have no impact on Sparks Henderson. But one more victim impact statement remains. This is Delray Johnson, whose pregnant sister was killed that night.
I'm politely glad that you're suffering right now with that smirk on your face. But when you in that cell 11-9 in one of them rooms, when it get real serious, because you ain't been there yet, I'm just thankful the guy had made a way for us to find out who you are and who you is.
As you can see, Sparks Henderson continued smirking. That set Johnson off.
Find out who you are and who you is.
The 2 men are quickly removed from the court, and Johnson is not allowed to return. After a 15-minute recess, Sparks Henderson is brought back into the courtroom. Security is increased, and Judge John O'Donnell gives Sparks Henderson 5 life sentences with no chance of parole. That's all the time we have for this edition of Court Cam. I'm Dan Abrams. Thanks for watching.